I'm Luma Shulam, your host at Buenos, where we feature entrepreneurs who are making a wellness and sustainable impact. Before we get into today's discussion, can you give us a little insight on your background in both personal and professionally?
I was born in a small village in Pakistan in a very rural agrarian society, growing up in mango farm, which was kind of nice. But then I moved to America at the age of 10, and I went from a very predominantly non-technical rural village to a very big technical city. And that had a very stark impact in my life because I went from the most natural way of living, as you can imagine, that people have lived for hundreds of years, to a very technically advanced city in the first world nation. And that created a dichotomy between like technology as well as religion, because it was a primarily Muslim country that I came from to a primarily Christian community. And that sort of created this conflict in religion from a personality basis, because it made me question why I believe what I believe and what are the rituals that you keep practicing on a daily basis. And I was always interested in the reason behind things. So when I was years later, after I had finished my formal education in engineering and I was working as a data scientist, I had this great deal of time on my hands because I was working from home. So I'm like, you know what, let me just go through and read every book of religion I could find. And that led me to sort of try to identify the science and the skills instead of focusing on the ritual of what these religious beliefs and religious disciplines had created over centuries. That is the way to look at religion in a much more powerful way.
It's so thought-provoking. This is why I had to have you on the show, because for one, I've been through several religions myself.
Going through those journeys, you probably realize like, hey, I'm doing all these rituals, and like every time you go to a new religion, even within Catholicism, there's like a dichotomy between the Protestants and the Catholics and the Baptists, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to follow here? And no one can explain to you like, well, here's the scientific basis behind like what it is that you believe. Most religions I've ever practiced or been introduced to, I've never had it explained to me in this manner, which is why I sort of wanted to get the word out there to say, hey, I don't really care what you believe. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but there's this truth behind these belief systems that evolved over centuries. And let's just focus on the truth, and then you can continue believing what you want to believe.
It's what you learn and you incorporate that and you take your beliefs and live your life in that way.
And so many people make that a core aspect of who they are, but then they don't realize like, why am I doing this? Humans are extremely programmable. Based on the society and culture you live in, you have various belief systems that have passed down to you through the generations. And now we're living in the modern age and everyone's got the internet and they're like, why am I like just saying this over and over again 100 times? Like, what is it that the person was trying to accomplish by doing this? And I really wanted to avoid telling people like, no, this is not really what Jesus meant, or this is not what Moses meant. Instead, I wanted to try to find a creative way to say, hey, listen, this is the skills behind what Moses was trying to communicate or what Jesus was trying to communicate. This is how you solve climate change. This is how you solve the healthcare epidemic. This is how you solve community crisis between like the haves and the have-nots and income inequality. Like there's solutions to all of these problems that the modern world faces. Like there's 5,000 plus years of recorded human history that we've kind of turned a blind eye to on and been like, well, nothing exists before the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution happened and nothing before that mattered. And you're like, well, all the good books that exist through human history, they all were written before the 19th century.
When you started telling me the science behind it, what is the science?
So the first phase of every religious discipline that exists is sort of like the initiation process, which is like, okay, this is how the human body works. First, you need to understand how your body works before you can understand anything else. And in order for you to understand how the human body works, you have to unlock the potential that is inside each and every one of us. How do you think and control your mind? How do you think and control your thoughts, your body, your actions? What you do on a day-to-day basis, that defines who you are, is fundamental to the human condition. And we all innately want to be healthy, but we have this epidemic going on where like it's an epidemic of unhealthiness more than anything else. And we're looking for like these modern solutions to problems that have existed throughout the beginning of human history. Like these aren't new problems that we've just encountered in the 21st century and been like, no one's ever been unhealthy before the 21st century. Like, no, people have been struggling with healthcare since the beginning of time. And modern healthcare is like, well, we're going to throw out the last 2,000 years of human history about what is healthy and what is unhealthy and just like give everyone pharmaceuticals. I don't think a pill is going to solve all my problems.
What really got my attention is that you mentioned that there were 2 simple techniques that could significantly boost the immune system of the human body, and that they also have been scientifically studied. Can you tell me the 2 techniques, and can anyone master them? Go to part 2 of this video to learn the 2 simple techniques that help you boost your immune system while losing weight.